All right, we have here our material, our 5052 aluminum, 1/8 thick for a fuel tank that we're going to do for a 56 F100 that belongs to Francisco. The truck actually previously had a 69, 60s Mustang, typical, older build Mustang fuel tank that they use, but we're going to actually custom tailor make one to fit the space that we have underneath the bed and get it to line up with his fuel neck. So we have all our pieces cut out here. We have our stuff from Summit, our fill neck, rubber boot, fuel sender, and then just a couple bungs that we're gonna do. So we'll get to trimming up our side pieces. So we're gonna have two sides, the back, the top, and the bottom. So we'll go ahead and just time lapse the whole build of the tank. All right, here's the tank that came out of the truck. Like I said, it's a 60s Mustang fuel tank. It's had some work done before to move the fill neck forward to line up with the bed floor, but this is what we're actually gonna replace. So our tank will replace this one. All right, so here's the room that we have for our tank. So it's pretty big. The only obstacles we have is to clear the roll pan and then move our tank far forward enough for the fuel door. We do have a brace here in the back, so we can't push it all the way forward. So we're gonna have to go pretty close up to this brace, which meets up to the edge of the fill door there. And that's where we'll put our push through. The tank will be serviceable from the bottom side. So it'll have brackets along the edges and it can just be pulled down, drop down. We'll have a feed line here, and then our center will go to the top with this wire here. But this is the area that we have to work with. All right, so we have our side profiles cut. That'll be the side profile of the tank, and I'll take this over there. All right, now we can see here the profile that we have of the tank. It's gonna sit about right there. When you drop the tank comes down and clears the roll pan itself. Got enough room in the back to service that upper bag bolt. And come all the way to the front, and then we're gonna have a gap about 4 or 5 inches there for our fill neck. So, but here's that side profile. So what we'll do now is weld the top side and the back side. All right, it's real important to understand how you're gonna stack your aluminum. If we were to stack this on the outside edge, then we're gonna be short when we do our bottom side. So our sides are gonna be sandwiched, so to speak, in between the top and the bottom. So as you can see here, we're stacking our side panels on top of or inboard of the, which this being the top side. So we're gonna go ahead and put a weld on the inside here to hold it. Then we'll move the jig further back and get this panel a true 90 degrees between these two panels. We got our welder set up for 170, 71 amps, set to aluminum. All right, so now the tank is starting to take shape. We got our top side, which obviously the tank is upside down at this point. We have our top side and the sides at true 90s on both of them. So let me flip this over. All right, there's a little bit better profile. So there we go. So now what we're gonna do is weld the back side, and then we're gonna form the bottom and the front side. The bottom and the back side will be one formed piece, but I'm gonna go ahead and weld this back section. All right, now, once again, same principle applies. Make sure that everything lines up. If we were to come off the edge, then we're gonna have a gap. So the way we jigged up the top and the sides actually made this piece fall exactly where it needs to be, all the way around. You see right there. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing, jig it up, and then we're gonna put probably 6 spot welds, 2 on each panel. Here's what we got so far. So the back panel, the one that faces the rear end, we actually went ahead and stitched it on the outside. But everything gap wise, you want these gaps to be really tight. That way when you go to fully weld this in, if your gaps are really tight, it reduces the probability of having any leaks. When we get the entire tank welded up, we do We'll drill a hole, we'll blow air through it, compress it to about 5-10 pounds of air, and then we'll see if there's any leaks, and if there are, we'll just go back in and kind of put welds over those areas. But the way we have it, really nice and tight, very unlikely that we'll have any. So, and then here you can see the inside of the tank. There's a full profile view. All right, so here's the tank upside down again. This is our bottom piece, which will be one solid piece along the bottom edge, the leading slanted edge, and the forward fascia. So we will weld this, bend this at our 35 degree, I believe I did this at. There's our scribe line there. So we'll bend this down, and then once we get to this point, we'll break it down at 90, and then just trim off whatever excess we have on this side. That way the bottom piece is just one solid piece instead of having a weld line, a weld cut here, and then a weld all the way across. All right, so you can see where we're starting to take shape. We're getting really close here. So we'll just keep bending a little more. All right, here's an idea of how it's gonna look. Obviously, it's all hollowed out. Still have the bottom piece over there on the brake, so we gotta break that. But kind of gives you an idea here of how much clearance we have on the back side, how low it's gonna hang, give or take. Gaps along the sides are perfect. The notches that we did there on these side panels is to allow the tank to go up over into the to the roll pan. All right, so there it is, and it'll just drop down. You can pull it out. All right, so now that we have everything tacked up and fitted, what we're gonna do is go ahead and just fully seam weld everything, and we're gonna jump around so that it doesn't, distort. We have welds. The way we spaced our tack welds, it keeps the panel straight, but if you put too much heat, for example, on, let's say we go here and here, without jumping around, it would actually could distort this area here. So what we do is, we'll go one side, mirror the other side, jump back on this side, stitch this, go back on the other side. So I'm gonna go ahead and time lapse the camera now and just get this thing fully welded up. All right, here's a -6 bung that we're gonna weld right here on the center of the tank in the back. And then what that does is that'll go there, and then our 3/8 go here, and that's where our fuel line will be. This is, the engine itself is it's got a mechanical pump at the engine, so it's just gonna suck from here. If you ever wanted to go EFI, this would just be removed. They would put a cap here, and we could use this as a drain. And then he would obviously get an in-tank pump. So go ahead and drill our hole here, weld that in there, and then do our welds on these last 3 edges. All right, so now what we have to do is drill out our 5 holes at 9/30 seconds, and we're gonna press these 1024 rivet nuts in here. That way we can drop the sending unit in and tighten it all down. All right, so we have those in there. Let's drop in there, bolt that up. All right, now that we have the tank kind of in place where it needs to be, we're gonna climb up to the top, take a few measurements, and we'll show you what we're gonna do over here. So here's the lid, right? I'm gonna open this up, and we're gonna basically put this, obviously sink down some more, but all he's gonna have to do now is just push in the fill, and this is actually vented, so do that. All right, we got side brackets A and B. Notice there, A on this side, B on that side. So we'll go ahead and pull the tank back down, weld our A and B brackets, then put the tank back up, and then go measure C and D. All right, there is brackets A and B welded up. Just have it clamped down up on the frame. So what we do now is we're gonna come back here, make sure that everything is pretty straight, which I've already kind of done that. And I'm using this 1/8 strip of aluminum here to kind of gap between the tank and the roll pan, so we can have an even gap all the way around. So that's just acting as a shim. To go back here, it's nice and tucked up there. So we'll go ahead and mark brackets C and D, and then get the tank back down and weld those on. All right, there's C and D brackets welded. So the tank is just resting up on the frame. So now we're just gonna go up top, mark our hole, drill it, and go ahead and weld the spout. All right, so there's a little spout there, and then we went ahead and trimmed this down as well. So we needed 3 inches from here to there. So we'll just put a rubber boot there with a clamp, 2 clamps, and then throw it back up in the truck. All right, the tank is back up there. Put it up, fill her up. I wanted to show you a comparison between the tank that was installed, which is this one, and the tank that we built. So that's a 16-gallon tank, and we bumped it up to about 23 gallons now. All right, we're gonna go ahead and call this done. We won't show anything more or film anything else other than once it's already painted black and finally installed. So what we're gonna do is drill 3/8 holes here for our mounting hardware. It'll have 8 total, 4 on each side. And then it'll have capture nuts up on the frame that are welded on there. So all you'll have to do is come in from the bottom up. And then, like I said, we're gonna paint this satin black, install it, drop in the fuel sender, install a new fuel line, and call that good. But this video is now done. Fuel tank is completed, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up.